Money 1055 with Glenn Spillman and Charlton Curry. This is Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with Epic Sports Radio. My partner, Glenn Spillman, and Becca Wright, our colleague. I also want to give a big thanks to Big C from the East Coast, and especially our producer, Steve Gasser. He's excellent, makes us look good, and makes us sound good, Glenn.
Yeah, you know what? I want to thank everybody for listening to us. I want to mention people have been tweeting me all day. They're excited about the show. People from Texas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arizona, Illinois. I want to say hi to you guys. Thanks for listening. And today we're going to be talking about NFL, college football with Big C, of course. We're going to be touching on the World Series matchup. And this segment is actually brought to you by Buns Sports Pub and Grub in Roseville, California. So, Charlton, what do we got going on?
Well, as you know, we all love football, and it's the great time of year. I'm excited, especially for the big Green Bay game at Denver. And we know that there's a lot going on in the NFL. I know, Big C, we were talking earlier before the program, and you were talking about the officiating issues. There's still some issues with officiating. So we know that you have over 40 years of experience as a player, as a coach, also national radio and television. So you've seen behind the scenes. You've seen the conversations, and you've heard the conversations that take place that actually make a team happen. What does it take to hire a coach? What does it take to fire a coach? But also, as we mentioned before, Big C, in the prior broadcast, a call that goes your way or against you can oftentimes determine what happens during your career as a coach. So with that said, Big C, come on and talk to us about the NFL and some of the things that are important to you.
Guys, great to join you once again this week. When we talk about the officials in the NFL, it becomes a troubling point. And, guys, if you remember just a couple years back, they held out for more money.
Yes.
Because they said they were the best in the game. and I think over the past 3 or 4 weeks, you have to question, and they even have to question themselves, with the amount of blown calls we see week after week that, as fans, and we talked about this replay, how long it takes to go through a replay, and we normally get it on the first or second replay.
Yes.
That the officials should have it done already.
Yeah.
You know, Big C, Glenn has a question for you.
You know what? They have this, the long, you know, they were complaining about, you know, and I know the baseball is too long, they're doing the replaying is too long. Why do they take so long to do the replay? I mean, they see it, we see it on the TV, they see it on there. Why do they take so long? I mean, are they trying to make themselves look better, or, you know, with the blown call?
They're trying to be noticed. You know, officials should not be noticed during a football game. They should actually wear uniforms the same color as the grass so we don't recognize them out there.
Well, you know, there's a drought in California, so that might be the case pretty soon.
I mean, they've almost become drama queens out there on the football field. Is that, you know, when they're giving a call, you know, how dramatic they want to make the call. You know, it's offsides. Okay, 5 yards. Let's go. Offsides.
Yeah, this ain't
Number
soccer.
76 defense. The result of the play is a first down. We're not intelligent enough to understand if they need 4 for the first down and they get 5 on the penalty.
Yes.
It's a first down.
Yes, definitely. That's true. Well, as we knew going into the season, we always talked about some of the big teams, Big C, and I know that we love the Patriots. They're 6-0, and they're doing everything right. And I know that we're going to do a little bit right now that Glenn put together some matchups, and we're going to go down some matchups who has whatever team. So, Glenn, go ahead and cover that portion.
Yeah, you know, we always cover the point spreads. We cover the matchup. You know, I kind of want to get, you know, everybody's kind of pick of the week. You know, I mean, we've got the Dolphins-Patriots. You know, Big C, who do you got in that game?
You know, I like the Patriots. Dan Campbell has done a wonderful job the first 2 weeks as a head coach. But you can only get so much rah-rah in the locker room.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you're going against Bill Belichick, you need a little more than just rah-rah.
Right. Charlton, who do you got in that game?
You know, I'm going to take the easy pick, and I'm going to say the team that everyone likes, and that's New England. And it's not because of Tom Brady. It's because of Belichick. Just like Big C said, he's a master when it comes to coaching.
Becca, what do you got?
I've always liked the Patriots. You know, I'm just going to root for them. Of course, the easy pick.
All right, we got our next one, Lions-Chiefs. Big C, tell us about that game.
Well, you know, this is a game of two teams. The season is going to be decided this week. Kansas City got their second win last week.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford's been under the gun a lot, but I
Big
like
time.
Kansas City getting their third win of the season.
All right.
I think a lot of times people wanted Alex Smith out here in San Francisco. They kept calling for keeping him at a time, but his team right now, the Chiefs, are 2-5, and Andy Reid, obviously, he's on the hot seat maybe, but I like the Chiefs in that game against the Lions.
I'll take the Chiefs. Well, Becca.
I'll take the Chiefs too.
All right, we've got the Cardinals at the struggling Browns. Big C, cover that one.
Well, Carson Palmer came up with a slight hamstring. He may miss this game. It's questionable, but I don't think the Browns have enough. Their starting quarterback, McCown, had a concussion, so you might be facing Manziel. I think the Cardinals just have too much firepower overall, and their running game is real strong with Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
And their defense is often very good too at times. Just the only thing that concerns me about that game is when West Coast teams go across the East Coast for an early game. That's a game they just might have to pull something out in the end, especially if they don't have Palmer for that game.
Yeah, I'm going to take even without Palmer. I'm going with the Cardinals on this one. Becca, who you got?
You know what? My attorney friend will kill me if I don't vote for the Cardinals.
Okay. Now we got an interesting one.
This is the big one.
Big C. We got the Bengals 6-0. Steelers. They talking about Big Ben coming back with his injury. What are your thoughts on that?
Big Ben, even if he was to come back in this game, doesn't have enough to get over the hump against the Bengals. The Bengals right now are just playing lights-out football. I love Andy Dalton. He has finally arrived as an NFL quarterback.
Better late than never.
Well, I'll tell you, Dalton is lighting it up too for Cincinnati. 14 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. So no matter what happens with that game in Pittsburgh, Big C, he's someone that you can count on. And I know he's one of the top 2 or 3 guys when you talk about NFL MVP on the way.
Yeah, you know what? Becky, you're a big Steelers fan. You're a big Ben fan. Tell me your concerns. Give me just a few seconds. Tell me your concerns on that game with that.
Oh, my God. They're going to be like sharks out there on Ben. He's coming back from, a 4-week absence, and I don't think it's long enough for that knee to recover.
Yeah, it's something that they're gonna target him. They're gonna go after him. I got the Bengals on this one. Giants at Saints. I think that the Saints and the Houday crowd, I think they're going to take this game. Big C, tell us about this game.
Well, they just signed Jason Pierre-Paul come back and play defensive end. They feel they need some help on the pass rush, and hopefully his hand will allow him to play and be as productive as he's been in the past. If the Giants get off to an early start, and they've been a hot first-half team, I think they'll recover from the game they played last week. And I like Eli Manning at this point of the season.
Do you think it's going to be a gunslinging between him and Breeze?
I think it's going to be a shootout. Neither one of these teams are going to play great defense against each other. It's going to be whoever can hang 4 touchdowns on the scoreboard as a quarterback.
What do you got, Charles?
And they both passed for over 1,800 yards from the season. But you look at a game where you're at the Saints. They have a great crowd. They found their rhythm a little bit, and the Giants are somewhat unpredictable. I'm going to go with the Saints winning that one at home.
Okay, we got Bucks 2-4 at Falcons 6-1. I'm taking the Falcons on this on a big time. So, Big C, what do you got?
I like the Falcons. Most impressive thing this year, the Falcons started this season with 3 new offensive linemen. They have the leading rusher in the league in Devontae Freeman, a rookie running back. And if Julio Jones can come back and stride, but the quarterback, Matt Ryan, is just one of the best gunslingers in the NFL.
Yeah, he is, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to go over 2. There's several games going on. We're going to go over 2 more. We got the Seahawks going into Dallas. There's a lot of stuff going on in Dallas, with Hardy. Jerry Jones kind of shot off his mouth a little bit today, and people kind of condemning him on that. Do you think the chemistry is just shot with the Cowboys, and how do you think that game's going to go?
Well, I don't like the Cowboys in this. Do they have chemistry? No. Does Jerry Jones run his mouth too much? Yes. But when you're a rich billionaire, you can sound stupid on the air.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, and
going for the Seahawks.
Yeah, and the biggest game of the weekend, you got 6-0 Packers at 6-0 Broncos. Packers going into the Mile High Stadium. Break that down for us.
Well, what you're looking at in this game is 5 of the last 7 MVPs in the NFL between Rodgers and Peyton Manning. But this is a decisive point in the careers of these two where the divide you will see. Aaron Rodgers has no parallels in the NFL.
Yes.
Peyton Manning just doesn't throw the ball the way he used to.
Well, Big C, we're going to catch you more on the second half of this break. And I do like what you're saying about Peyton Manning and Rodgers. Remember, these two guys are the marquee quarterbacks in the NFL over the last several years. So we'll talk more NFL football with Big C when we come back on the other side. And you're listening to Epic Sports Radio every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5.
If you're a homeowner and you're struggling with your mortgage payments, if your bank is giving you the runaround and you can't get a loan modification and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA.
First, let's note that NFA has received a certification of registration from the California Attorney General's office and has a bond on file with the Secretary of State as required by law. NFA will inform homeowners of what their projected income and expenses and other info needs to be to have the best chance of receiving a loan mod. We will recommend qualifying income and expenses that will get them pre-qualified.
If your loan company is giving you the runaround and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA at 916-896-5757. That is 916-896-5757. At Gamble Insurance Agency, we put the odds in your favor. We handle most or all of your insurance needs and act as your insurance advisor. We will put together a suitable buying strategy with your financial future in mind. We are an independent farmers agency. Call Kit Gamble for a free farmers-friendly review of your insurance policy at 530-772-5041. That is 530-772-5041.
My name is Lynn Hallbash. I'm a certified agent with Safe ID Trust. Here is an interesting fact. Most people insure their cars, homes, and valuables for their peace of mind and replacements. But in light of ID theft being the fastest growing crime in the world, they don't think about insuring their identities. But that's what we do at Safe ID Trust. We offer online ID monitoring with our Safe ID Trust Detective, wallet replacement service, 24/7 customer service, and much, much more. By having identity coverage, we restore your identity 100% to pre-theft status. We do all the work for you. You can contact me at 916-826-5762 and the web at safezone.safeidtrust.com.
Half of the United States population follows sports in some form or fashion. Sports is a billion-dollar industry. If you're not advertising with a sports team, you are simply missing the boat. Boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. EpicNewsSports.com is your doorway to helping your customers follow sports. Whether it's pro, college, or prep sports, it is a great investment of your advertising dollar. With half of the country following sports, you can too by visiting EpicNewsSports.com.
Sacramento's Money 105.5. Money 105.5 with Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with Glenn Spillman, Big C, and Becca. And we want you to listen to Epic Sports Radio every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5. And Glenn, you have a statement.
Yeah, you know what? I want to thank Buns Sports Pub and Grub. They're our new sponsor. And you know what? They're having an awesome Halloween party October 31st. It's from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. They're going to have costume contest. The trip to Vegas is going to be for the best costume. And there's going to be cash and gift cards to second and third places. They are located at 311 Judah Street in Roseville. You want more information, call 916-786-6655. We got a few more games to cover. Big C, we've got Chargers going into the Ravens. Everyone's chirping about the Chargers taking this one, but I think Ravens at home just might pull off a little miracle and show the Chargers a few things. What do you think?
Well, if you want to look at a disappointing team in the NFL this year, it has to be the Ravens. Only one victory thus far this season. Joe Flacco just a couple of years ago signed that $126 million contract.
Wow.
And we've seen a trend in quarterbacks. Once you get $100 million, you seem to be playing not to get hurt.
Yeah.
Big C, you talked about that earlier with $126 million in the bank. You want to make sure you protect the prize.
Well, you look at the flack that Kaepernick has taken in San Francisco this year.
Yeah.
He has 2 victories, though. Flacco only has 1. So
Yeah.
what's the difference?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Also, Glenn, I know that you talk about the point spread. You have the Vikings and you have the Bears. The Vikings started out slow. They lost to San Francisco. They're 4-2, and they're on the road at the Bears, their rival.
Yeah, Vikings are only favored by 1 point. I mean, I don't really care about 1 point, you know. But they're going into the Bears. You know, Adrian Peterson, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. I love the guy, but what kind of Vikings team are we going to see going into Chicago, Big C?
Well, I think they'll win it. This is a division game against the Bears, an arch rival for a long time. But Jay Cutler, another one of those skittish quarterbacks, I don't know if he can put together consistent games. I like what Teddy Bridgewater is doing. He's managing the game. Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator, has finally gotten the scheme in that he wants with Peterson and Bridgewater together. And their receiving core with Ben Rudolph at tight end has just been playing outstanding this year.
And then Adrian Peterson, he's averaging 4.2 yards a pop, only 3 touchdowns, but he can still break it at any moment on the field too.
Yeah, he's kind of quiet, but I think he'll show up this week. Titans, Texans, that's kind of iffy with me. You know, I'll take the Texans on that, but
I'll take the Titans.
You know what? I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Big C?
This is just a TNT game.
That's already.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
This is the guy. I mean, when you look at the Texans, this is the team that's in disarray right now. They released Ryan Mallett, who's decided not to show up for practice. This is a team flight to a game.
Yes.
How can you do that? You're a quarterback making a couple of $1 million a year. You can't afford an alarm clock?
Oh, my gosh. You're exactly right. Now, the last games kind of touch home a little bit here on the West Coast. Half the people in this building are 49ers fans, half are Raider fans. So we're going to go first with the 49ers, 2-5, going at the Rams. Rams are -9.
The L.A. Rams.
Yes. You know what? I think you know what?
I'm
taking the Rams.
the Rams.
I'm taking them. -9. I think they're going to win by 14 points, maybe even more. What do you think?
I like the Rams in this. The Rams, I mean, it's that time for them to start playing, and Nick Foles is going to have to start stepping up as a consistent NFL quarterback. I think that Todd Gurley now is going to catch his stride, and I really like the Rams in this game. And when you look at their defensive front, they have 4 number 1 draft picks on their defensive line. That's hard to beat at any time.
I'm going to be a hater, 49ers.
That's all right. You know what? I'm gonna try and do my best Chris Berman here. We got the last game. We've got the Jets 4-2 at the Raiders. 500, 3-3.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby. Jets are -2. Raiders, I think they're riding high a little bit. I think they're gonna shock the Jets and they're gonna win probably by a field goal. Janikowski's probably gonna come out and save the day.
Go home.
So what do you think, Big C?
Well, you know, I like the Raiders at home because you're playing on grass.
Yeah.
You're bringing an AstroTurf team from the East Coast out to the West Coast. Carr has been playing excellent football the past couple of weeks. Their receiving core, we saw Amari Cooper really step up his game last week.
Big time.
I like the Raiders.
You know, also, when you talk about liking the Raiders, Big C, I know that we had talked earlier over the summer about some of the improvements they had with their defense. And I know that when you bring in a guy like Crabtree, who's been maligned over with San Francisco, he actually has a quarterback that stays in the pocket and takes the time to find the open receiver downfield. So he's actually played a little bit better this year than he has when he was in San Francisco.
And you got to like that when you got Carr, who's a pocket passer, and that's what the Raiders' history has been. But also when you look at what Charles Woodson did last week, this guy's been around in the league since
he's amazing.
They played on dirt.
Yeah, he's in beast mode right now.
Game.
Yeah, he did. You know what? We actually have one last game to go over. We got the Colts 3-4. They're struggling. I don't even know. You know, they're going Panthers 6-0. Newton. I think not Newton. What am I thinking?
Cam Newton. Yeah.
I'm thinking Newton. All right. You know what? I think he's just going to go off. They're favored by 7 points, but I think he's going to go off and they're going to win by at least 14.
And if you recall, 4 years ago, there were 2 quarterbacks drafted, 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
One of those guys is sitting on the bench because he didn't have an offensive line to protect him, and he took a lot of hits and had several surgeries done. That same thing is happening right now to Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an offensive line.
No.
He has taken a pounding this year, and he's been hit more than any quarterback in the NFL over the last 3 years. And so is it the scheme or is it the coach? It's not the quarterback. And that's the same thing that happened in Washington.
Well, Big C, let me ask you this question because you played the game, and you know sometimes players will play because their contract is bigger. if you have Andrew Luck, and he seems to be hurt, he doesn't seem to have the ability to play it healthy as he has in the past years. So what do you say if you own the team and you have a multi-million-dollar contract? We talked about $100 million as if it's common for NFL quarterbacks. What would you say to a guy like Luck? Do you let him play out the season? Do you try to find ways to shore up what's gone wrong in Indianapolis? How would you address that?
Well, as an owner in Indianapolis, I mean, you're asking the wrong guy there because he's a drug addict himself.
Yeah.
You know, he was arrested back in the summer for having all that Oxycontin riding in his passenger seat.
That's true. Maybe that's part of the problem.
He should have passed some of that to his quarterback, you know, to ease some of his pain. But, you know, when you look at that, I have to look at the coach more than anybody else. Because when you talk about offensive lines, if you look at New England, they're playing 2 rookies and an undrafted free agent on their offensive line. When you go to Carolina, another 6-0 team that they're going to be facing this week.
Yes.
They have 2 free agents on their offensive line. But it's the coaching that makes the difference.
Yeah.
You know, football players and athletes play because they have a heart. Other guys play because they have a paycheck. I remember when I was playing, you know, and we would always note out guys. The guys who went and got their paycheck face first are the guys who backed up and stuck their hand behind their back to get their paycheck. And that's what you're getting with some of these offensive linemen nowadays.
Well, Big C, as you talked about, when you have an offensive line play and you were all pro, talk about what they are facing. They brought in the running back Gore out of San Francisco to kind of shore up their run game. But as you know, the offensive line play is more important than the big names and the big players that get the big paychecks. So what would you see that you would do to assess their line play and how can they get better?
Well, you know, like I said, it comes down to the coach, but you also have to have these guys with some incentives. You know, if you have to incentive laden their contract on the back end so that they would make more money and they would have more pride in the job that they're doing. But, you know, these were the guys who went through training camp, and they say they were the best 5 available out of probably 20 linemen that they had in training camp. And, you know, these were the best to protect their quarterback. But if you're looking at building Andrew Luck's future,
yes,
you're going to have to start at the offensive line. And, I mean, when you start paying receivers, you know, $10, $12 million a year to catch a football,
yes,
and you have an offensive line combined that only makes $10 million between them, there's a huge discrepancy in the most important part of the team. And I don't care where you are, whether you're in high school, college, or professional football, the most important part of any football team is that offensive line nucleus.
Yes.
Because those are the guys who start the engine and drive the car.
Well, Big C, with that said, why are they paid less? Because, you know, as an insider, if you don't have a great offensive line, even Tom Brady would be playing on his back most of the time. Yeah. Why is there such a discrepancy in the paycheck, as you talked about receivers making $20 million a year? Quarterbacks, 25.
You know, I think it came from years ago when you used to hear on TV the fat guys, the big uglies and all of that. You know, they weren't, it's not a sexy position. You know, when you look at quarterbacks, who do you see on commercials on television? Who do you see walking into someone's living room? You know, even Terry Bradshaw in his 60s is walking into someone's living room, and he's an out-of-shape quarterback.
Yeah, Joe Montana commercials, you know, you've seen them.
Yeah. But, you know, when was the last time you saw an offensive lineman in a commercial? These are the guys who are the face of your franchise, but they're also the back page of your franchise when you look at it. You're going to look at people talking about your quarterbacks. You're going to look at these wide receivers, these glamour boys who, you know, a lot of them have a long stride and a short memory. You know, and let me jump off that subject just a little bit. Sammy Watkins, a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, made one of the most pathetic statements you could ever make as an NFL player. Here's a guy that the Bills traded up for 2 years ago to become the number 2 draft pick in the NFL. That was a $20 million guaranteed contract. He's only played in 3 games this year, but he made a statement to the fans of Buffalo. You know, if these fans don't like it, let them go back to their pathetic, low-paying jobs. I don't care about them.
And that is something that we don't want to hear coming out of the mouth of a guy who's making a 6- and 7-figure income. And when you have that type of mentality, it lets the fans know that they're going to get paid whether you show up or not. And we love talking about football, Big C. What we're going to do right now is come back after the break as we'll take Epic Sports Radio nationwide with Charlton Curry, Glenn Spielberg, Becker Wright, and Big C. We'll be back with more after the break.
From the Big Mountain Heating, Air, and Solar Traffic Center, Charlie Simons.
Going to be mostly clear tonight, then sunny and breezy tomorrow, high of 77. By the time we get to the weekend, we're going to be back up into the 80s, just in time to go back down into the 70-degree territory with rain expected on Sunday. 72 right now in the River City, and we got ourselves a slow bit of travel on the Business 80 portion of the Capital City Freeway. An accident blocking the shoulder westbound at N Street. 50 heading westbound at 65th Street. We have ramp restrictions there. 99 southbound, shoulders blocked by an accident at 12th Avenue. That's how you're driving? I'm Charlie Simons.
Wally, wake up.
What?
What's that sound?
What sound?
It's like techno. Gotta.
Oh, get a job.
Yeah.
How can you hear that? It's my fear going on in my head.
Honey, grab your laptop, log on to SacramentoHelpWanted.com.
Who?
They have hundreds of local jobs.
Is it getting louder?
It's free and you can upload your resume in minutes.
I can't believe you can hear the inside of my brain.
I can't believe your fear is techno. Weird. I thought it would be more like metal.
I like metal, fear techno,
Stop the fear. SacramentoHelpWanted.com. Long name, amazing results. Morning, Mr. Feldner. Ugly shirt.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry, sir. I meant to say happy to be at work.
Jen has lost her filter because she's exhausted from commuting long hours to work every day.
Sir, you have very long nose hairs.
Nose hairs?
There's hope for Jen. It's SacramentoHelpWanted.com, the place to find hundreds of local jobs.
Sir, you have very bad breath.
What?
Also, your freeloader son is on the phone.
You're fired.
Find a job close to home. SacramentoHelpWanted.com. Long name, amazing results.
Hi, Lenny Sansone here with I-24 Fit Club. I want to invite you to join us for afternoon recess on Friday afternoons at 4 p.m. We have tons of fun talking about health and fitness and even some unique places to visit in the Sacramento area, all during your evening commute. Area experts, including our own personal Mythbuster, Dr. Sean Patterson, will play some interactive games and a comedy minute that will be sure to give you a laugh. Join us on Friday afternoons at 4 at Money 105.5.
I'm Don Padilla.
And I'm Pat Barr, financial advisors with Wells Fargo Advisors in Sacramento. The stock market has dropped many times, and just as many times it's come back and gone higher. 2008 was horrible, but the fact is the market is back.
So why are people not investing? Their future is too important to ignore the opportunities available to them. Call us for your free consultation. Our number is 916-275-8100. That's 275-8100.
Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer and a separate non-bank affiliate of Wells Fargo & Company.
Are you ready to take your education to the next level? Arizona State University now offers over 90 top-tier degree programs, 100% online. With ASU's highly ranked online programs, you'll earn the same degree as our on-campus students, with the ability to learn wherever you want, whenever you want. Same world-renowned faculty, same leading education, same global recognition from one of the top universities in the world. Call 1-800-581-5369. That's 1-800-581-5369.
I'm Jamie from Sherman Oaks, and I just graduated with my degree from Arizona State University. I chose ASU because I received the quality education I deserve in the major I wanted, all from my home.
Jamie's not the only one to earn a degree from ASU. There are over 90 degree programs offered 100% online from one of the top universities. Now's the time to learn more about earning your degree online from Arizona State University. Call 1-800-581-5369. That's 1-800-581-5369.
This is Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5 and Money1055.com.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with Epic Sports Radio every Wednesday nationwide at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Money 105.5. Glenn.
Yes, this show is brought to you by Buns Sports Pub and Grub in Roseville. We are going to be doing live remotes there for college and pro football as well as the NBA. Charlton, Curry, myself, and Becca. I want to let you guys know, too, you can follow us on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Facebook. Our call letters there are Epic News Sports. Charlton.
You guys, we have a great topic coming up. We have a guest on our show. His name is Jacob Lopez out of Franklin High School in Elk Grove, California. He's a starting quarterback on the Wildcats. They're a great football program in the Sac King section. But before we get into college football with Big C, I have Jacob Lopez on. He was just injured over the weekend against Jesuit. And Jacob, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Tell us about what happened in the next 30 seconds or so. Talk about the injury, how it happened, what were you thinking as it was happening?
All right, so I ran a QB design run play, and I broke a tackle and broke to the outside, and a linebacker tackled me from behind, and so immediately and tackled me to the ground. Yes. Well, as soon as I hit the ground, I immediately felt pain around my right ankle and up to my calf.
Yes.
And right then, that's when I knew something wasn't right because I wasn't able to get back up.
And one of the great things that happened after that, if you can call it serendipity, here's a young kid who's a bright student. He has a 4.0 GPA. And if you're a high school kid, as we transition into college football, I want you to think about this. I was talking to Steve, our producer, about this before the show. Here's a kid with a 4.0 GPA looking at going on to college. Jacob, what college are you looking at?
I'm looking at colleges like San Diego State, San Jose State, and Fresno State.
Okay, so here's a kid that, just like all the other athletes out there, you want to be a big football player. Big C played pro ball. And he sustains an injury. What happened was the Jesuit high school football team and the Franklin team got together to make sure that he was okay. And obviously he had a surgery. The surgery went well. But, Jacob, I just want to ask you if you could say one thing to your teammates over at Franklin about football and then academics, what would that be in the next 20 seconds?
I'd like to tell them that what happens on the field, it's great and all, but at the end of the day, you need to prepare yourself for a better future, and the best way to prepare yourself is by pursuing your academics and a career that can better your life.
Speaking of that career, we were talking yesterday. You're going to college. Tell us what you want to do when you get out of college.
When I get out of college, I want to be a physical therapist, so I want to major in kinesiology.
Awesome.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being on the program. And I know that you're going to be at the game in Elk Grove this Friday night. Franklin's taking on Elk Grove, which is ranked number 2 in the section. Perhaps they can dedicate that game to you, their quarterback. You won't be their fallen hero because I think you're going to be there. I want to wish you congratulations and good luck with the rest of your career.
Luck, man.
And always keep the books in mind. So I'm proud of you for doing that. And thank you for being on the show, Jacob.
Thank you.
All right, man.
And also, Glenn, so that's a big story because it was all over the Sacramento Bee. Steve and I were talking about before the show these calamities that are happening. Football is a dangerous business, but you have to have a plan for what happens after you get out of that. And as we come into that Big C, we know we love talking college football. Just talking about injuries, the quarterback at Baylor, ranked number 2 in the country, he sustained an injury, Glenn.
Yeah. You know, he has a fracture, and you know I was looking in. They're having a bye week this week. I'm looking in to next week's game. They got him on the schedule to play.
Yes.
You know, but when these injuries happen, you could be taken out, and your future could be gone. So, Big C, what are your thoughts on getting that education, high school level and on the college level?
I think it's of utmost importance. You know, most players go into high school thinking, I'm going to play a professional sport.
Right.
But, you know, I have to give my admiration to the young man you just had on with a 4.0 GPA, carrying a full load of academic schedule, as well as participating in sports. You have to take your hats off to a young man like that. And we don't give enough credit to the students. We want to give more praise to the athlete and not enough praise to the students.
Well, I think Mr. Lopez also for being on, and his parents especially for allowing him to be on there. I also want to give a props out to my daughter, Daisy Curry, who works at Franklin High School, and she actually set up the interview, so thank her for that. Also, Big C, as we jump back into college football, we know Ohio State, they looked as good as they've ever looked under Urban Meyer when they blew out Rutgers on the road this week. Did that change your perception of Ohio State as the number 1 team, Big C?
It didn't change my perspective, but just I want to step off that track one. There's a Big Ten coach, Jerry Keel, who suffered from epilepsy since 2005. He was forced to retire today, and I want to send out my thoughts and prayers to Jerry and his family. He's coached for the past several years with this disease, and it just doesn't allow him to coach anymore. And, you know, he was one of the Ohio State's big rivalries.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Big C. This is kind of off the subject a little bit. I'm looking at the top 25 right now, and I know that there's strength of schedule and whatnot, and you have the Memphis Tigers, 7-0. They're number 16. Then you have Alabama, who's 7-1, who is number 8. And I know it's strength of schedule and not, But I'm thinking, if you're telling a team, well, you're not really playing that good of teams and whatnot, so you're telling the other teams, well, you kind of suck a little bit. And what are your thoughts on the way that and I know people have been arguing about this for years. What are your thoughts on the way that BCS does these rankings?
Okay, the BCS, and you want to look at the rankings. Number one thing you have to look at the BCS when it comes to rankings, look at the size of the stadiums.
Yes.
You know, who's
Money.
bringing in the revenue?
Money
There
talk.
you
Are
go.
you saying that money talks
Okay.
Big C in college football?
Bottom line.
Bottom line everywhere, the almighty dollar. People will sell their souls for that money, okay? And so when the BCS is talking about putting together teams to face each other in a playoff scenario, who has the larger venues? Would you play a game at Memphis that only seats 60,000, or would you put that game at in Alabama at Bryant Denny, it seats 103,000.
Yes.
Yeah. Charles and I were talking earlier today. We're looking at possible like Clemson and whatnot, and people don't want to. Go ahead.
Temple is 7-0. They playing Notre Dame this week.
Yeah.
Now, if Temple beats Notre Dame and goes to 8-0, where should they rank?
Well, Big C, you talk about the officiating in the NFL. I'm sure with the officiating, maybe not popular to say, but I doubt if Temple will lose to Notre Dame over the weekend. Just a little bit of something that might come up every now and then, Glenn.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the teams that we're looking at, some of the top games I'm looking at this week. Right now, USC at Cal. I think that is the West Coast version of the Red River rivalry. What do you think, Big C?
I've loved that game for years. Cal has always been a high-potency passing attack. Goff has played well, as a junior, and if he comes out, he'll be one of the top 5 players drafted. USC has been such a roller coaster team, whether it's just the players not playing to their level, not having the coaches coach to their level. They won last week. They beat Utah. Was that all on emotion, or was that all on talent? And we're going to find out this week if they have anything left in the tank.
Well,
I still like Cal a little bit in that game.
I think USC has defeated Utah the last 8 times. So Las Vegas, for whatever they know that the rest of the population doesn't know, Las Vegas picked that one right. Not that they're right all the time, but I like Jared Goff, also quarterback. They started out undefeated until they went on the road to Utah. He threw 5 interceptions. They've had a tough go lately. But at home, Strawberry Canyon, we'll see if they can get that game on Halloween night. Also, Big C, we know that we talked earlier about the top 10. You have Stanford. They're ranked number 8 in the country. They lost that game at Northwestern to start the season. Northwestern's a pretty decent team. Stanford, now they have their groove back. They have a great running game, and Shaw's done a great job since Harbaugh's left. They're going up to the Palouse at Washington State, which might be a sleeper game, especially the people on the East Coast, like where you are now. But Stanford, they're in the driver's seat to win the Pac-12 North. Is there any concern if you're going up to Washington State where it might be a little bit cold and playing that game there?
I don't think there's any concerns with Stanford right now. When you look at their running game and their quarterback who is playing, lights out right now, their defense, that's really the only concern with Stanford right now is their defensive line. They're a little thin. If you were to lose one of those defensive linemen, are you going to have enough depth on the bench to replace them? Their offense with Hogan is playing wonderful football.
He's amazing.
When they lost to Northwestern, now you got to look at this team. They basically had an 8:30 kickoff.
Yes.
West Coast time.
Yes.
Young men are not always going to be able to adjust themselves. If they'd have came out another day earlier, they may have been able to adjust themselves to the time clock. But right now, Stanford is the class of the West Coast.
And you never would have thought that several years ago when it was always Oregon. But Stanford, they've done a great job graduating their kids, and also they're chasing the Pac-12 North Championship. One more team in the top 10 I'm going to ask Glenn about, Big C, Iowa. No one in the Big Ten wants to see Iowa win the Big Ten because you have Michigan with Harbaugh, you have Michigan State, and also Ohio State. But Iowa, they're undefeated at 7-0, and they have a chance to end up in the championship game, Big C.
They will end up in the championship game. They do not face Ohio State, Michigan State, or Michigan during the regular season. So this is a team that really has a cupcake the rest of the schedule. They go under the radar because they don't want them to represent the Big Ten or whatever it is, 13, 14 teams in that conference now.
Math is not important up north when it's cold.
That's not the division of higher education up there, evidently.
Yeah, I got one last game. You know what? I'm looking at the point spread here. Oklahoma is going into Kansas. They're favored by 40 points. Now, that's kind of ridiculous to me. And I know they've scored a lot of points the past couple games, and I know they've been stepping up. But what do you think about a 40-point spread?
Well, ironically, when they played Kansas last year, it was a 44-point spread, and they beat them by 52. Kansas is just one of those teams that early in the season they became downtrodden.
Mm-hmm.
And once they lose 3 or 4 games, they're like, here we go again.
Right.
And they're at that point right now. Is let's not try to get embarrassed too badly. But they just don't have enough firepower out there in Lawrence, and I don't know what you're going to do to turn around the Midwest part of the country as far as getting in quality players, but they just don't have it in Kansas right now. You got to take Oklahoma and lay the 40.
All right, Boomer Sooner, baby.
Sounds good. Well, Big C, we always appreciate you coming on to the show every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. to talk sports on Epic Sports Radio. Coming back after the break, Glenn, I know you love the World Series. In
Love
fact,
it.
The power went out on Fox.
Oh, my gosh. How
Sure
does that
did.
happen?
It sure did.
We'll talk more World Series when we come back and a little bit of NBA basketball.
My name is Lynn Hallbash. I'm a certified agent with Safe ID Trust. Here is an interesting fact. Most people insure their cars, homes, and valuables for their peace of mind and replacements. But in light of ID theft being the fastest growing crime in the world, they don't think about insuring their identities. But that's what we do at Safe ID Trust. We offer online ID monitoring with our Safe ID Trust Detective, wallet replacement service, 24/7 customer service, and much, much more. By having identity coverage, we restore your identity 100% to pre-theft status. We do all the work for you. You can contact me at 916-826-5762 and the web at safezone.safeidtrust.com.
If you're a homeowner and you're struggling with your mortgage payments, if your bank is giving you the runaround and you can't get a loan modification and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA.
First, let's note that NFA has received a certification of registration from the California Attorney General's office and has a bond on file with the Secretary of State as required by law. NFA will inform homeowners of what their projected income and expenses and other info needs to be to have the best chance of receiving a loan mod. We will recommend qualifying income and expenses that will get them pre-qualified.
If your loan company is giving you the runaround and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA at 916-896-5757. That is 916-896-5757. At Gamble Insurance Agency, we put the odds in your favor. We handle most or all of your insurance needs and act as your insurance advisor. We will put together a suitable buying strategy with your financial future in mind. We are an independent farmers agency. Call Kit Gamble for a free farmers-friendly review of your insurance policy at 530-772-5041. That is 530-772-5041. Half of the United States population follows sports in some form or fashion. Sports is a billion-dollar industry. If you're not advertising with a sports team, you are simply missing the boat. Boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. EpicNewsSports.com is your doorway to helping your customers follow sports. Whether it's pro, college, or prep sports, it is a great investment of your advertising dollar. With half of the country following sports, you can too by visiting EpicNewsSports.com.
The premier show for all your sports needs. Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5.
Welcome back to the show, the Epic Sports Radio, every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. nationwide Pacific Standard Time on Money 105.5. Glenn, I know you love the World Series.
I love the World Series. And again, I want to remind everybody that this show is sponsored by Buns Sports Pub and Grub in Roseville. And you know what? The World Series was interesting. They kept me up last night. And you know what? I don't know who forgot to pay the bill. And
Fox Sports.
What the heck, man? I mean, it was crazy. But you know what? I got some interesting stuff for you. First pitch inside the home run by Escobar. First time in 112 years. In front of 40,320 psychotic fans,
Yes.
and I mean that in a positive way.
Yes.
The game lasted 5 hours, 9 minutes, 14 innings. And I'll tell you something, man. Here's another little nugget for you. The Royals have played 7,546 games in franchise history. That's post-game, regular season, everything. They have never once had the first hitter of the day get an inside-the-park home run, and they never once had the last hitter be the walk-off hero. Tonight's game, it's kind of a little touchy with me. It's a battle of the hair bands. You've got, you know what, Charlton? Say this guy's last name for me. I can't say it for the Mets.
I'm just going to call him the hair guy.
Okay, the hair guy for the Mets.
He should do a hair commercial.
He should. Pert, whomever. He's 1-0. He's got a 1.80 ERA. He's going against Cueto. Cueto's a good pitcher, but he's 0-1 with a 7.88 ERA. You know what? I'm teetering right now. They are in Kansas City, but you know what? I'm going to pick the Mets tonight. Becca, who do you got tonight?
I'm going to go for the Mets.
Okay, the Mets, Charlton.
If the Mets don't win tonight, they're not going to come back and win this series. Their only chance to even have a chance to win this series is by winning that game tonight on the road.
It's going to be exciting, but you know what, guys? Someone make sure that the power stays on, would you?
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah.
They're paying too much money to the athletes. They can't afford to keep the TV station afloat at Fox.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, Charles, we got NBA going on tonight, a lot of games. You know what? I've got my team, the Lakers. I was born in the City of Angels. I've always loved them. Kobe Bryant, I don't know what he's going to do this year.
He's going to cash his paychecks.
Exactly. Is the Black Mamba going to come out, or is the little garden snake going to come out
They only
tonight?
need him for like 20 games a year. So if you make $20-something million a year by playing 20 games, you keep that act as long as you can keep it.
Yeah, you know what? They're favored by 3.5. They're at home. I'm going to see if they're going to – I'm going to have faith in them. I'm going to pick the Lakers. Who do you got, Charlton?
Well, because I grew up watching Lou Alcindor, I grew up watching Magic Johnson and James Worthy and all the great people, the Lakers show, and you know what? They're at home. They should win. Kobe, if he does play well, it's going to be in the first 10 to 15 games of the season because he has to show me that he can play past 30 games. So I'm going to go with the Lakers tonight and the crowd on their side, and they'll probably get a call here and there.
Becca, real quick, who do you got?
Lakers.
All right, Lakers. Now, you know what? We watched this game last night in tandem, Charlton, you and I. We were texting all night.
Yes.
Yesterday, Curry wasn't even brought in to the MVP talk. It was all LeBron, LeBron, LeBron. LeBron, if you're listening, brother, next time when you go, don't do a little layup fadeaway. Go up and drive. You're a big boy. Get the call.
Now, wait a minute. Pau Gasol is very intimidating for a guy that's 270 pounds.
Right, but LeBron's a beast.
Yeah.
You know? But you know what, Curry? He was raining down threes like it was Christmas candy, man. This guy, I think, is going to repeat as MVP. What do you think?
Well, I think, number one, Steph Curry needs to remember that we have the last name, especially Christmas coming.
Yeah, you guys kind of look alike.
Yeah,
too,
we kind of look alike, but I think he hits more threes than I do.
A little bit.
But I do want to say that he was amazing last night, and the Warriors, they did everything right. They had Charles Barkley. They had the TNT team on Pier 40 in San Francisco celebrating their championship series. Rick Barry was there. They did it the right way. Unfortunately, they're going to a new arena.
Yeah.
And their fans are great. And I know fans can travel across the Bay Bridge. But Curry had the game of a lifetime last night. And as you said, Glenn, they didn't even let him play the whole fourth quarter.
No, you know, he walked away with 40 points. And I told you, I said he's going to walk away with 52. And then, you know what, they sat him on the bench. And you know what, which is fine. You know, he needed a little rest from that big, huge ring that he's wearing, raining down his hand. I mean, good Lord. But you know what, I'm going for him, the MVP. I know Vegas has LeBron. I love LeBron, but Curry, he was playing like a tiger, man. They should have been playing Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, the whole game because he was throwing it down Gangnam style.
Well, I think the thing with the Golden State Warriors, we saw teams that had a repeat, and the Lakers have done that. We talked about teams that had three-peats. We know the Bulls have done that. And this is a team, but you know in that West, the West is difficult. We have San Antonio, Popovich. Tim Duncan might be his swan song. If you have Oklahoma City Thunder, they're going to be very difficult. So even though we look at them as being a top team, they're going to have a lot of people giving it their all right now. And then when you look at the Clippers, they're playing in Sacramento tonight, so that's going to be tough for them to repeat. If they do, I think he's more deserving of the MVP than last year.
You know what? I mean, I think the Clippers are going to come into town, and the Kings are going to give them a good fight. But you know what? I think the Clippers are going to take this one. You know, it's going to see interesting to see the chemistry that we have between Cousins and Curry and Rondo.
Well, when you talk about chemistry, I think Rudy Gay's wife is having a baby, or she's giving birth. I don't know if that's going to affect this game. They were talking about that before this game. I know there's a little bit of talk. You only have a kid once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
There's 82 games. Do you miss the game to be at the birth of your child, or do you? That's a tough situation.
Hey, I promise you this, man. I've seen both of my kids
better
being
make
born.
it to birth.
Yes, I've seen them both being born, and I wouldn't miss that for the world. Charlton, you've seen your kids being born. What would your wife say to you if you said, babe, I got to play a game tonight. I'm not going to be there.
Well, she would have said bye.
Yeah, you would still be in the doghouse.
Toodles.
Becca, what would happen if your husband's playing basketball and he missed the birth of his kid? What would you say to him?
He always has a game next time. So, I mean, it's going to be there.
It's going to be there, exactly. Charlton, let's wrap this up, buddy.
But I can always tell you, you can always follow more sports on epicnewsports.com, as we'll bring you every week something on the NFL with Big C, as myself as Glenn, and also Becca. We'll also talk college football. I know we're in the heart of Major League Baseball, the World Series right now, Glenn. That's near and dear to your heart. And anything that you can say to the fans that we want to, number one, thank you for tuning in and listening to our show every Wednesday.
Yeah, you know what? Again, I want to mention, follow us, support us on social media. Twitter, Epic News Sports. Snapchat, Epic News Sports. All social media, Epic News Sports.
And look up our chat group.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going to be doing a movie next year, and we are looking for sponsors. We're looking for athletes to be in the movie. We're looking for $100 million.
Yeah, $100 million, Donald Trump. We know that Donald Trump listens to Salem Media, and we know that that's a big tax write-up for a lot of you big spenders like Steve. So we're asking for $100 million for our program, the movie that's coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Again, thank you guys for listening. We're going to catch you next week on Epic Sports Radio.
Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5.
Follow us.